Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back taking a look at a Ashe supplementary guide, and today we're going to be taking a look at a crit on hit hybrid build, right? So hybrid is not AD and AP. In this case, it's going to be taking a look at going for both crit as well as on hit items. Right, so let's jump straight into it without any delay. So we're going to start off, of course, with our Gluttonous Grease for the AD and the Omni Vamp, and then the first item we're going to go for is Bloodthirster. Now Bloodthirster, of course, did just get nerfed repeatedly, basically, right? But it's still a very strong item, right? So it's still an amazing first item. You still get amazing stat line. You still get the defensive capabilities with that shield, with the defenses, and also with the physical vamp. So honestly, it's still one of the best ADC items despite the nerfs, right? Then we go into Runans. Now Runans, of course, is typically a more considered on-hit item rather than crit. Of course, gives you attack speed, allows you to attack 3 people simultaneously, and of course also allows you to proc on hit onto all 3 of them. So what on hit are we going to be procking? Well, that's where Blade of the Rune King comes in. Of course, your typical on hit item. This is of course going to give you that current health on hit damage. Of course, it just got buffed like 2 patches ago, I think in 6.2 A or B, I'm not sure. But anyways, of course, it gives you more physical vamp and just, really great, especially if the enemy team is somewhat tanky. And then for your armor pen item, you really have 2 choices, right? So you could go full on hit by going for, not full on hit, but mostly on hit by going for, of course, Terminus, like this, right? Of course, gives you the on hit magic damage as well as stacking resistances and stacking penetrations. But I think Mole Reminder more often than not is a very good option as well, because it is the crit option, but of course it gives you grievous wounds, which you will not get, of course, from Terminus, and of course you'll get very similar armor pen. Of course, when you crit, you get more armor pen, which in this case is only half of the time, so it's not very consistent. So both ways could kind of work. And for last item, you want something defensive, so that could be a Maw, it could be a Wit's End, could be a GA, anything that floats your boat, whatever you want to go for here. So I just put Wit's End as a default because it's also a on-hit item and it gives you magic resist. So for the runes, it's going to be a standard ADC loadout. Not going to explain too much on that one. And for the spells, you're going to go for Flash. Ghost is amazing to have if you can afford it. Otherwise, you have to go for Cleanse if there's a lot of CC on the enemy team. Now with all that out the way, let's now jump into talking about the gameplay. Alright, so now let's get into the gameplay itself. So first things first, I think Ashe works very well with basically any support she can kind of play with. With engagers, they can lock people down for you. You can slow them and stun them with your ulti if needed. And with enchanters, you can of course play very backline and just auto attack like a hyper carry in the backline, right? So in the current meta, I think Ashe is just a decent ADC, kind of middle of the pack, maybe closer towards the top end rather than the bottom end, because she is still very decent and very good into very certain team comps. Now this is not exactly one of those team comps, because really Ashe does very well into a lot of the situations that like Xayah does well into, which is like people who kind of want to chase you down because you can kite them out very easily, particularly champions that don't have dashes. So think about champions like Garen, Darius, Set, these kind of really beefy champions who kind of want to run at you but they don't really have any mobility in terms of dashes, right? Of course now there's like Strike Breaker as an item, so that's kind of a universal thing. So first thing I want to point out here is that Karma is AFK, right? So what are we doing? We're pushing the Jinx all the way in, and we're just going to start working on the tower, right? So sometimes you will have these instances where one of the enemy laners is AFK, and the best thing you can do to take advantage of that, of course, is to take plates and get down poke, right? So that's exactly what we're doing here. We try to deny the fruit, or not deny, but we pop the fruit to force her to take it, and we poke her in response, right? Because she's basically fighting a 1v2 under tower, and as long as we stay out of tower range, we will win the 1v2. So she's basically 1 HP at this point. If I were her, I would be recalling, but for some reason she's sticking around at 1 HP. She gets exhausted here, and then Nami picks up the first blood, tanking the tower, and survives as well. And I get trapped, but it doesn't matter because I wasn't tanking the tower, so I'm absolutely fine. We've basically only used the exhaust, and honestly, we didn't even need to necessarily exhaust her. And here we pick up a plate. So now the wave is in a horrible position, but we are going to recall leaving the wave in this position. My logic here is that if Karma doesn't come back, it doesn't really matter, right? Because we're going to be able to push it in anyway, and the wave position doesn't exactly matter very much. So with that early assist and with those early tower plates, we are able to pick up our boots and run back to the lane. Now you can see Karma is now back in the lane, so now that horrible wave position sort of matters a little bit more, because now the wave, if they control it properly, will be stuck outside their tower, frozen outside the tower, and we're going to have a little bit of an issue. However, since Karma is only level 2 and we're at both level 3 with items, whereas Karma doesn't really have items, we can sort of try to to push it back. Or alternatively, we can do what we're doing here, which is let the wave come in and then have the reverse scenario where the minions are now stuck outside our tower. Unfortunately, the minions aggroed a little bit, so it's not as close to the tower as we would have wanted. But now with Karma by her side, Jinx is now more confident to step up and get off a push, which is exactly what she's doing here. TF, you can see, is on the roam towards top, so we are very, very aware of that, which is why we're not overstepping forward, because we know that TF is there and he does throw his cards over the wall, and we're able to get the last hit on that minion. Now a fight is breaking out here with our Mbessa now going in. Twisted Fate flashes over the wall, tries to escape. Now I'm flashing over trying to finish the kill, but Ignite actually gets it, so a little bit of a waste of a flash there. And now we have Jinx and Karma stuck under tower. Now here we have 4 men ready to dive them. So if I were them, I would be leaving. I think that ult's a little bit early, but we get the ulti onto the Karma. They're now stuck under the tower still. The next wave is coming in, and I'm basically able to poke Jinx because of my long range, and here Ahri goes in, nearly kills the both of them. Mbessa gets 1 kill, I get the other, with Ahri supplying the CC and tanking the tower for a little bit. And with that, my team and I are able to take down the top lane tower, securing the first tower of the game, which is pretty huge. So you can see already at 3 minutes into the game where we have a very, very big lead. Of course, partially because of the misfortune of the, no pun intended there, misfortune of the Jinx having her Karma being AFK and basically losing the lane automatically and giving us a pretty huge lead. Now TF here comes in with the ulti stun, not stun card, red card into Q, kills Nami unfortunately, so did pay the price a little bit for that push. But one thing I wanted to kind of point out at this point, seeing TF constantly coming here, is why did I go for Ghost instead of Cleanse? Right? Of course, as I said, Ghost is an amazing spell for Ashe. You can run people down with it, kite people with it, etc. But Cleanse is obviously better in this game because you can cleanse the TF ulti. You can try to cleanse the, not try to, but you can cleanse the Nautilus hook or the Nautilus, root ulti, even cleanse Yone ulti, and as well as the Karma ulti and the root. So amazing cleanse value of this game. So to answer the question of why did I not take cleanse, is because I selected Ashe as last pick in this game, and I was adjusting my loadout and I didn't have time to adjust my summoner spell, so unfortunately I did not take cleanse because of that, which could be a game losing mistake in certain games. So yeah, that was completely my bad, but cleanse would have been way better this game. So here we've already taken the tower, right? So now the goal here is to push out the lane, roam mid, and take the tower there if possible. So here we're trying to get a catch, but unfortunately, obviously the wave comes in from very, very far and Jinx simply steps away. We are just trading a little bit and then we push in the lane, get the priority, and now we are going to reset, probably for Bloodthirster, and then we might be able to redeploy somewhere else on the map, right? So the name of the game here is to never abandon your tower, right? Because if we do that, we are going to be in a situation where they get tower plates for free. So I spawn an opportunity to catch TF out. Boom, the ulti connects into Ahri Charm, into Ahri full combo, into Ahri Ignite, and Nami takes the kill. So here, the enemy team decides to reset instead of taking tower plates. That's a huge mistake, right? Because what they could have done here is taken tower plates and gotten back into the game since we're on vision in mid. Right, since Ahri has roamed bot, now we're able to instead get tower plates in mid, which is just OP, right? We've got 2 tower plates, we're going for 3, we get 3 tower plates, and they get none top, right? So if they were top, they probably would have gone the entire top tower, but we would have traded it for the mid lane plates and maybe even the mid lane tower. But since they came over to stop us, we still got 3 plates and we didn't get the entire tower. But instead, they don't get the top lane plates, which I think is a little bit of a waste. If I were them, I would probably have wanted to take the top lane plates and get some guaranteed goal instead of defending my mid lane tower. So here, I see 2 of them walking to the dragon to do the dragon, and I realize the mid lane tower is undefended. So I'm going to basically just take the mid lane tower solo, giving myself and my team a lot of extra gold, and then I rotate over to the herald to go for that objective. So at this point, I have 6k gold in 6 minutes, just pretty amazing. Farming tower plates, farming minions, and etc. Right, so now you can see at the top lane, I actually was pinging Darius to go top lane to stop them because I'm further away than him, but he doesn't really move until now, and Ahri is already there to defend here. I'm just shadowing Mbessa to ensure she gets out without getting caught by Yone, and we're in a pretty good spot here in general, right? Especially Ashe when she's ahead, she has a lot of utility. She can always check bushes or check areas with her hawk shot to ensure she doesn't get clawed out. She can get catches with her ulti, and she of course has that slow, both good for chasing as well as running away. Now here, speaking of which, I'm popping the Ghost for the movement speed, and I'm just attacking whoever's the closest target, basically. I have the shield bow popped. I'm taking quite a bit of damage, but I'm going to be able to get the kill here and run away. However, Jinx gets a kill as well onto the Darius and gets a reset, and that reset allows her to basically chase me down and kill me. Of course, it's one of the reasons why it can sometimes be a little bit annoying to play against a Jinx, because if one of your teammates die, then that's gonna make you in trouble, because then the Jinx gets the reset with the attack speed and the movement speed and run you down, and then you die, she gets another reset, and you know, story continues until hopefully someone puts an end to her killing spree. Alright, so here, despite the death, we are still in a pretty decent spot, right? We're still 2-1-6, and we're still very far ahead of the Jinx, so we're still a-okay. And the Jinx Bloodthirster procced at the same time as us, so we are going to have it up at the same time. So we'll be on a level playing field in terms of that. In terms of itemization, myself and Jinx are almost on par, despite me having a small lead over her, right? So it's basically who can get to our spikes first. And yeah, so here I'm trying to defend this tower because I don't want to give a bounty for free. But Darius, I think, kind of gets the wrong message and decides to go in 1v3 instead with the hook onto the Jinx. Now, if I was there, I could have followed up. But as I said, I'm here to defend the tower, not to make a play. And then we start going in 1 by 1, which is typical, solo queue kind of shenanigans. And Mbessa goes in, and I try to help her out. But I really just want to back and get my Runan's Hurricane instead of fighting. Now Darius is now stepping up by himself again at 1/3 HP. I get the Runan's Hurricane. I'm going to go back out onto the map. And it's very obvious a fight is going to happen at the top lane. So I'm taking the gate there and making my way over to the top lane. And likely a fight will happen there. And I'm going to be ready to join my team for the fight. So as I said, right as I walk towards mid lane and think nothing's happening, Nautilus hooks in. And I walk over just in time to get the last hit and get the kill. And Karma gets caught as well. And I end up picking up a double. So yeah, we all knew a fight was going to break out there with literally everybody there. There's no objectives up or anything, but we all know in solo queue it's very, very common for fights to just break out for no reason, just because people are standing around each other. So that's exactly what happened there. And we're in position to kind of help out our team and take advantage of the situation and basically get the kills as well. So I guess this is one of the benefits of having the Ghost on Ashe, which is like being able to get to those fights very easily and having the mobility in the fights. I mean, honestly, so far we have not been ulted by Yone, Nautilus, and we have not been stun carded by Twisted Fate. Basically, we have not been CC'd the entire game pretty much. So I guess in this case, technically going for Ghost here ended up being very, very beneficial for us, although it wasn't really intended to be that way, right? If we had cleansed, we basically wouldn't have used it at all until now, pretty much, right? Because there's nothing actually for us to cleanse. We've never actually even been CC'd at all so far, which is, yeah, just a dream game for an ADC, right? So here, we're being left unattended. TF and Jinx are in the mid lane, Yone is in the top lane, and because we don't quite know where Karma is, as well as Nautilus, we decide to rotate away. But we could have actually just taken that tier 2 tower, right? Because now a fight breaks out in the top lane, where Darius is in a little bit of danger. He is able to get out with both his summoner spells, and now the enemy team has used some of their cooldowns, and now Dragon is up, right? So here we're gonna, of course, be contesting the Dragon, being the stronger team. Nautilus gets charmed, takes a little bit of a chunk. We have, for some reason, someone in the pit, and yeah, so here we're just hitting first target, which is Nautilus. Of course, we're relying on Runan's bolts to kind of spread damage a little bit. We're taking quite a bit of damage. Jinx flashes forward like a madman, and yeah, the enemy team, you can't be doing that, right? So Ahri gets resets. I have Runans. I'm just attacking 3 people simultaneously. They're all standing together, and they basically all end up dying, and our team gets a clean ace. Honestly, I think that at this point, the game is more or less won. Our team has almost a 10k goal lead. We're going to be getting Baron as well, and all we got to do is to close out the game cleanly for ourselves, specifically not put ourselves in any dangerous positions, don't get flanked, things like that, and we should be on our road to a very easy mark. So here I even get the QSS as an extra safety tool, because I'm thinking that at this point, probably staying alive is going to be a lot more important than getting more damage, because my team as a whole has enough damage, whereas safety is kind of what I need at the moment. In fact, I'm actually not even going for Bork as my next item. I'm actually going to be going for the Wit's End, because there's no one in this team that's particularly tanky, whereas we have TF as well as Nautilus building full AP, and they might be able to one-shot me if, the conditions are right. And in fact, it is Karma that's building Heartsteel with the tank Karma build, which really doesn't work very well if your team is behind, because its tankiness is not going to save you in this case. But yeah, so here we're going to start charging up our Q by attacking minions. A fight breaks out at the side. We're trying to get a kill on Twisted Fate. The heal actually saves him. Nala's body blocks the ulti. Nala's going to pay the price instead. First time I actually get CC'd the whole game. Doesn't actually matter though, because I still end up picking up a double kill even despite the CC. And at this point with the Baron, we're marching in once again, stacking our Q onto the minions, and then just auto-attacking the tower. Jinx gets caught, gets charmed, and I'm going to hit her with the volley, and the red buff finishes off the kill. And now we have minions all inside of the enemy base. I'm starting to just attack the base, eating through the Nexus shield. Another CC comes in, Darius gets the kill onto the Karma. I'm just lifestealing off of the minions and then focusing the base. TF dies, we get another assist, and the game is over at this point. So pretty straightforward game, showcasing the abilities and the strength of Ashe. So I'm going to leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.